Girl, oh no, baby, oh mine. Oh no, baby. What's up, guys? Welcome back to another episode of Present Not Perfect. I'm your host, Mimi Janine, and I hope you guys are having a great day. I should say welcome or welcome back, since now it's like a thing happening. So welcome or welcome back. This is going to be a really interesting conversation today that I think will give a lot of people at least a chance to make a difference for themselves. All right, let's get into it. I've been doing a lot of healing for myself, and there's a lot of things that I've come to realize are catalysts for why I am the way I am today. As I try to get myself out of these cycles, I'm realizing that a lot of this stems from childhood. What we've gone through in our childhood. So many people have gone through so much trauma as a child that it's almost impossible to meet someone nowadays that hasn't gone through something. You could have had the greatest childhood you could think of. Toys when you needed them, fed, shown affection and attention, and somewhere in there, you're still traumatized in some way. You still got something going on that affected you negatively in the sense, right? You hear that a lot of people experience things in the house differently. So people could live in the same household but experience that household completely different. It takes us communicating with each other to find out what we actually went through and our perspectives on that. That's why I feel therapy is such a great tool to just debunk the ways that you internalized things that you went through. I'm hoping I'm reaching people with these conversations because I just want to help. I just want to make sure that we understand that it doesn't have to stay here. It doesn't have to stay at a point where we feel debilitated or anything like that. As children, we experience a lot when it comes to just being in school with our friends. You can know people for years. You know, say you hung out with them in middle school. You're probably not going to hang out with them in high school. A lot happens. And even younger than that, where, you know, you had friends in elementary school and in middle school, you're beefing. Like, a lot of things transpire when we're young, and there's a lot that we don't even remember as far as details that make us who we are today. But we can remember, and it doesn't have to stay stuck in this loop of, oh, I act this way because this is how I am. That's true. But is this all that you are? Like, that's a question. That's a good question to ask yourself when you give that rebuttal. Because it's like, is that all you are? I'm going to answer that question for you. Well, I can't even answer the question for you because I don't know you like that. You know you like that. So are you? Is that all you are capable of being? It's like we quit on ourselves so fast. This is just the way I am. No, you chose to be like this. At this point, if you're watching this right now, you chose to be like this. It's not just because of what you were dealt, because you are aware of what you were dealt now, right? In some aspects, you are aware of what you were dealt, and you made the decision to continue or to change. It was your choice. Now that we know that, how do we want to be different? How do we want to make this thing called life a little easier? I'm not even sure what she is for real, but I've been watching her for some time now, and she goes into subjects that talk about childhood trauma and childhood PTSD, complex PTSD, CPTSD, And she's called let me see here. I appreciate her outlook on how things are when you have a lot of trauma from childhood. You take these things on without even trying. They're just second nature after a while, and you end up just moving off of protecting yourself. Her name is Crappy Childhood Fairy. Boom. Crappy Childhood Fairy. If you feel you are going through anything childhood trauma-like, she's a good person to watch on YouTube. She knows a lot more. She's definitely very knowledgeable on what she's talking about, and she has activities that can help kind of reframe and rewire your mind to help you further and not be in the loop of childhood trauma. At least know yourself better. That's what we're here for, right? Exactly. Locked in. I was listening to her, and with the frameworks that she brings in, it's like a lot of the things that she tells us is a good thing to do as far as like coming out of this. For instance, like there's moments where she's saying that repeating the trauma, like talking about the trauma over and over, doesn't really do much as far as helping her. And in a sense, I agree with her. I feel there's only so much talking about the actual trauma that can be beneficial, because it just stirs up that pain in you. And if it's a deep, deep pain without anywhere for closure, that thing can it can make things worse, you know? What she brings in is regulating. Once you understand that this is a trauma response that you're giving, how do you regulate back to normalcy, back to balance? Do you even notice that you're being dysregulated? What are the actions that you're doing that are proving you're being dysregulated in that moment? You have to know yourself so deep. You have to at least start getting to know yourself to that point. Are you even aware of the actions that you're having? Are you even aware of your responses, the way your body is responding to something that somebody does to you? Are you aware of yourself? Not just mentally, but physically. What is your body doing when you're interacting with people? How are you feeling inside? Because the moment you understand where your baseline is, you're able to understand when you're being dysregulated. So then once you find out that you're being dysregulated, that you are in dysregulation territory, how do you bring yourself back to regulation? How do you regulate your emotions to make sure that the entire situation that you're in is resolved in a calm, not even a calm, but it's resolved in a way that doesn't traumatize you even more? We don't need to constantly be traumatized, which I'm going to make another episode for this, maybe. If I say what I say right now and it's pretty much everything I want to say, I won't, but let's go into it. So there was another episode I made where I said, I'm not sure whether you have to be traumatized. I think it was no, it wasn't quote unquote. I believe it was the yin yang effect. No, it wasn't that one either. It was one of the ones that I've already done. And I was stating whether I'm not sure if you have to be traumatized or not in order for something to be beneficial in teaching you or something like that, right? In life, I'm still debating whether you need pain in order for you to grow and become solid. I'm still debating that. I'm still trying to figure that part out. In my mind right now, I don't think it's necessary to traumatize people in order for them to become strong. I don't know yet, though. I don't know yet. At first, I was like, I don't think you need to be traumatized or put through pain in order for you to learn something. And now I'm thinking pain might be a little necessary. Pain might be a little necessary. It might just be. I'm not even gonna lie to you. Like, there's so much that you learn from pain. It creates a new storm within you. It creates a new landscape within you. Staying in the pain, though, is the part that just doesn't work. And constantly being traumatized is something that also doesn't work. But the pain, initial pain. So imagine, right? We're in the womb, babies, and we come out. That's trauma already. We come out crying. We get air in our lungs. That's I don't even remember how painful it was, but it must have been, because even right now, like if I take a sharp inhale in, sometimes that hurts sometimes, you know, like it's like, ooh, like so I can just imagine what that first breath felt like. But once that first pain happened, it didn't feel the same after. It didn't constantly seize me. I took my first breath and I kept it pushing, and it didn't hurt the same anymore. And I was not as traumatized as I could have been if my breath kept hurting every time I took one in. I wouldn't want to breathe. It wouldn't feel good. So that's what I think, you know, as far as like being able to withstand trauma and pain, that initial time, that first time. That's why it's not great when people are bullied, but it is good for that principle that the bully is bringing for the other person, the person that it's being bullied, to understand. Like, no, step up. It's literally for us to be like, okay, I'm not gonna let nobody walk all over me. We gotta be able to know that it's not a constant thing. A constant trauma is not good. And a constant trauma is something that we've all experienced. So to work through that, to find our equilibrium, that's the best thing we can do for our adult lives. Find out where it came from. Or even not find out, but you have to be aware of where something is sourced from in order for you to be able to unravel the dysfunction. You gotta know the source. Once you know the source, you have free will to put in or take out whatever it is from that, how you want to move forward. We are our own responsibility, but we weren't always our own responsibility. So there's a lot of things we picked up that aren't really that great that we can now let go. It's our choice. It's our choice. But childhood trauma is a thing. So we shouldn't tell somebody that they're a bad person just because of something they've gone through within their childhood. That most times they haven't looked through, you know, that whole situation to understand why they even move the way they move. We can't always blame people for the unknown that they do, but it's also on people to find out why they do what they do. We can't always be out here thinking it's the other person that's fucked up. Sorry. We can't always blame the other person. That's not fair. We have to be able to look at ourselves and be like, okay, I'm reacting to this in a way that is like tantrumy. Why am I acting like this in a tantrumy type way? Something is affecting me that is subconscious. Let me sit with myself. People don't got time nowadays. Apparently, that's what it's making it seem like, to think about themselves. Everybody's so focused on everyone else and what they got going on and why you act like that. It doesn't have to be like that. It doesn't have to be so rough. I thank my trauma for making me who I am today, but I also think my resilience to make sure, like, I'm not the people that I have been traumatized by. I'm not those people. And I also can see them for their childhood and what they might have gone through to make them act that way toward me. And I guess that's what makes it so much easier for me to be like, you know what? I'm gonna let it go. Because you don't even know what you're doing right now. That just made me think of when Jesus said, Lord, forgive them for they know not what they do. And that's serious. Some people just don't know. Some people are just moving from things that they were always accustomed to, but they're really hurting you. And they just don't know that. And if they do know that, then they're a horrible person. Move away. Let them figure themselves out. Let them figure themselves out. We're not accountable for other people. We're accountable for ourselves, and we can keep each other accountable. But you're not responsible for these people. You're not. Unless they're your child, then, I mean, get help or something, you know, that will be able to facilitate some type of grounding for these children, so that they don't have to become broken in society when they grow up. Fix it before they pass a certain age, so then they can be a certain body. You don't want them to be bad people. You don't want them to be treating other people the way you wouldn't want to be treated. So let's cultivate that for them if they're your child, right? But as far as grown people, you're not responsible for them and the way they act. And the moment you have the ability, the sounding mind to be like, no, then it's no. And you can move on. You don't have to stay getting traumatized by that person. But you can also have grace for that person to understand they may have gone through something in their childhood and they haven't dealt with it yet. And just leave it be. They went through something traumatic. We don't know who's been SA'd. I'm not sure YouTube guidelines, so I'm trying to be like super squeaky right now. But yeah, you don't know anybody that's been like super in that realm and they just don't talk about it. You don't know the people that have been physically abused that just don't talk about it. And they move in life like everything's good, but then once they get into a situation and they kind of lash out, but they think that their lashing out is normal, and then the other person is like, what? It's up to the other person, one, to move out the way. If you can, I'm not going to go in too deep on this. If you can withstand helping them through, then by all means, go for it. The moment you start dipping in your own water, cut it off. You're not hurting yourself for somebody else. No, they're not your child. Cut it off. They'll get their lesson one way or another. They're going to figure it out one way or another. It is not your responsibility. So many people blame other people for things that they do wrong because they don't know themselves. Do you know yourself? How much do you know that inner child within you? How much are you willing to get to know more about that inner child in you? You gonna take it out for a stroll? You gonna take it for a spin around town? You gonna go get ice cream? You gonna get some, to eat, some cute, some nice. This was a very big year of awakening my inner child and just seeing where she was, seeing where she was hurt. And if you have interacted with me at all this year, just know you can tell me how much of an inner child awakening I've been having that I've been having. You can tell. I've talked about it so many times already. I've been in the feeling of it, so I'm exuding that happiness, that, oh my gosh, I feel like a child again. Like, I feel so happy. I feel so light. Like, I feel like anything can happen. This is so great. I feel so happy. And it'd be moments of super duper happiness, and I'm just like, my heart wants to cry. Like, this is so amazing. Like, this is so beautiful. It's just like, this has been a beautiful year for that. But that's because I have time to think. But you do too. And that's what I'm saying. It's a lot of it happening so fast in life. It's like we feel like there's so much happening that we don't have the time to think for ourselves. But you do. The same way you make time for everybody else, the same way you make time for everything you want to do. You want to go out and party, you want to go out and drink, you want to go out and smoke, you want to go out and, shake ass, you want to go out and do whatever it is you want to do. The same way you have time to do that, you have time for yourself. The time that you spend with people, an equal amount of time should be spent by yourself. So you can figure out who you are, figure out why you do the things you do, debunk yourself. Anyway, I hope you guys enjoyed this episode that I've brought to you today. If you guys have any comments on what, childhood trauma has done, or how we can better use the trauma, or any way that we can kind of integrate or even alleviate ourselves from this trauma that we once experienced, put it down in the comment section below. I would love to read you guys' minds and theories and concepts and ideas and questions and concerns, anything that you would like to just speak out and, talk about. We can go ahead and put it in the comment section below. Don't forget to subscribe, like, comment, share with your friends, who you feel could use some type of knowledge from this. Yeah, I appreciate y'all for coming through, sliding by, listening to all the way to this point. This has been another episode of Present Not Perfect. Oh, I'm your host, Mimi Janique, once again. And I'm going to catch y'all on the next one, the flip side. Finishing on your end. Ooh. Wait, how do you do it again? You can tell I'm such a millennial. I don't even know. You guys finish on your, and you know what I'm trying to do. All right, so catch y'all on the next episode. I love you guys. Have a good one. Bye. Mwah.